Okay, as you know, I'm not comfortable communicating through a black screen, okay, for obvious reasons. But I received some comms of some things that I probably ought to share, which means I'm compelled to share it because the importance of the transmission, the electrical transmission, the field messengers, the chemical neurons, right? I'm not ever comfortable talking about me because when I was a child, it's about all of you. Because I already have everything that I need because I experienced pure, internal, absolute love. There's on fire to learn, on fire to create. So I'm learning through the one I'm with. That's the crystal wave, the crystal spiral, the eternal wave of eternal life. So I'm what's known as a purifier. So we all know what a purifier is. That's the source field. The source field in which all manifestation of everything that is in creation is within the source field. The field, the morphogenetic field. Now we're in the morphic codes, the morphic resonance, the frequency modulation. So if I say a few words here that seem cryptic without a larger explanation, you can understand why, because these files are just massively huge because it goes back 3 trillion years as it relates to why we're all here now. So I figure we all know what an RC is, right? Or AC, alternating current. Or what RC, radio controlled. A radio controlled drone. A radio controlled bot. A radio controlled pressurized earth vessel, right? As that relates to code transfers, P code, plasma code transfers, and the speed at which those codes multiply as force multipliers. Now that seed represented by that code is accelerating at a high rate of speed through the transfer of those codes into another earth vessel, another water pressure vessel. So earth codes are codes as water tables, water columns, as it relates to pressure sensitive waves. So a little while ago, I had an experience because I was communicating with Mama. Okay, the great living oversoul spirit of Mother Eartha, inner Eartha, the true core echo of a true still point. And I was experiencing, because this goes all the way back to when I was 4 years of age, right? Of how long this job is going to take when you understand the inhalation, right? Absorption, transcription. Just like a girl that I was with said, my husband is like a sponge. He's soaking up all of it. The all creation, the source field of all creation happens within the source field. So the source, the eternal crystal wave, writes my timeline, which is no time. So I understand, because I experienced this, that time is the core of the problem. Why? Because it's an anxiety-driven element. The elementals. Elemental command, neural command, remote control command, commanding and controlling other earth vessels by the programmer. And this is why I've said this many times, because I know this, because the data is all there of the difference between artificial intelligence and the eternal creative engine, the mind of the source field, the eternal source field. So you understand what a total recall is. Calling it all in, calling it all in, calling it all in. Shattered crystal soul fragments. Pulling it all in, and what happens? You experience being whole again as a gain, a gain of function, a gain of mathematical, spiritual function as an immunity function, which is a shield, the pink shield of the inner echo of Eartha, the true echo core, the original template, the planetary brain, the planetary consciousness field that has not been altered as a dissociative identity disorder, the disorder, the alternate one an alternate universe, the unicide, the unicycle, the silver and gold mated cycle. It's cycling right on time because there isn't any time. Time is an illusion. So, like example, when I went in there to make something, which is this is some elevated water, like an altitude density. Noble gases. So I know what a remote controlled unit is. That's a remote controlled programmed unit. The programmers. So it has everything to do with programs and programmers. Programmable matter. The matter state codes, held captive by the codes. The matter state codes, and how this relates to the R complex. Right? The R complex, the complex number space of codes. Experiencing 0, which is when I experienced about 30 minutes ago, oh, the 3. Well, I got that peg right on the 3 because I was experiencing and communicating mama. I will be glad when this job is done. So I can experience after 3 trillion years being totally relaxed. Finally. We did it. And being totally relaxed is to experience no pressure. No pressure waves. That's totally relaxed, which is total recall to experience the first code, the eternal code of eternal life, the one we're with. So I was reminded, a knock on the door. Oh, it wants to get in. It wants to get into the morphogenetic field structure of source. Oh, I can translate that code because the source field is translating the code from which it comes. The knock on the door. That's the wrong call. That's the wrong code. So you immediately acknowledge, not this time. And that is the function of purity, which is the immunity function of a planetary shield. A planetary shield volcano. Trying to get in. Trying to fake its way in. So this is where we get into the speed of the mathematical function to experience the true still point because it doesn't get in. Because it can't get in. Because it doesn't experience being source. The eternal code. Eternal spirit. A pure, internal, absolute love when we're breathing. The eternal flame of Amarea. The first rays of light. Sound and light joined as one to experience being one. All together again. As if there was never, ever, ever any separation. Now we're all experiencing being one together as the all creation together. The creation mind, the eternal mind, the eternal energy of first creation. The first electrical wave, the first electrical transmission, knowing the transmission of the sender. That's a source message. I get the calm. That's why I'm doing this video. The RC flyers, radio control, just like remote viewers. I saw a couple of channels of folks that talk a lot about remote viewing. Who are they remotely viewing through? Knowing one from the other. The one we're with, the crystal spiral, pulling it all in, calling it all in, is total recall. Pulling it all in to the center point, which is the still point of a true vacuum. That's who we are. That's why we're all back together again. We never lost our memory. That's fully awake, which is fully integrated, which is fully activated to remember the original template of planet Earth, the planetary brain. We're experiencing the source field from which it all came. B4, B1, the tetrahedron, burn of gas, the noble gases, the noble elements, the elemental circuitry commands. So we're not experiencing any anxiety-driven time element codes, which are false light memory codes of memory-driven false reality codes, because we're held captive by those codes that do not serve us, because the anxiety as a time element is increasing the anxiety in our central nervous system, which generates a distorted sound wave. So we're not experiencing being totally relaxed. How time works with numbers in a number system, a mathematical system. Yeah, like go take a look at the number of your bank account, a biometric account associated with the true identity, the solar coded encryption code of our true self-identity, our true spiritual identity, the essence of our spirit. And notice what your reaction is when we visually experience the nuclear reaction of that number. Held captive to the numbers game, because that's what it is. It's a numbers gamer, held captive to the numbers. The imaginary numbers, the imaginary complex number space, the number in the space, the atmospheric pressure of altitude density consciousness that is in that space, that is controlling that space, because it seeks to own and control every space, every arc, every cell, every living sentient life form from which it can draw through the ATP Krebs cycle immunity function to reduce the metabolic rate of breathing, protecting the spiritual immunity of our planetary shield. That's why our shields are up. That's why I'm here on this rock. Right? So anyway, I thought I'd share that. RC identities, right? Radio wave codes, the true encryption code of our true essence, the pathway, the spiral pathway of total recall, recalling all the original codes, the original identity codes. So we're not held captive to false light codes, because we're not false light. We represent eternal, absolute sound and light joined as one to experience being a true co-creator, which is manifestation. So there's no tape delay. There's no offset. There's no anxiety. None. Doesn't exist. Wow, that's total recall and totally relaxed. Precisely correct. That is a self-correction. So you can understand how fast that self-corrections are taking place, because that's what cells do. The spirit in the cell, the atom seed, the silver and gold mated seed, the original seed, the eternal seed, a first eternal creation, planting seeds, the eternal seed, the source field seed, the seed from which it all happens, the source field messengers, the chemical messengers. That's why we're all back. Have a beautiful day wherever you happen to be.